Welcome to episode 3. Can you believe it? 3 episodes of the Everything Sales podcast. We talk about everything from handling objections to handling rejections to cold calling to emails to booking meetings and smashing your quota and everything in between. Powered by Glide Growth. If you are a founder-led sales team or you're an early stage startup and you're looking to learn how to increase your pipeline, make a nice fat juicy pipeline that is going to keep you going on and hit all the numbers that your investors expect from you, then Glide Growth are the people to reach out to. My name is Matt Firestone.
I'm Aaron Kaplan.
And we're here to talk today about LinkedIn. One of my favorite topics. So LinkedIn is probably one of the 3 primary outreach channels that you're going to reach out to your prospects, along with phone calling and emailing and social outreach, which is primarily LinkedIn. You might have some folks doing some things on some other platforms, but we're going to stick to LinkedIn. That's the most popular.
And it's not even about outreach. It's prospecting. LinkedIn, hands down for me, is the best place to prospect.
100%. So we're going to start with defining what social selling is, how folks are utilizing LinkedIn as a platform to sell their services. And then we'll break down the nitty gritty. What things are we actually doing to book meetings using LinkedIn? What other ways we're utilizing it in our sales prospect, like you mentioned, prospecting and list building. So social selling is when you're creating sort of like an advertisement for your services or what you do through LinkedIn. You're not directing it necessarily at one specific person, but you're trying to create attention and create warm or inbound leads. A lot of folks make a lot of noise about social selling. My opinion about social selling is that the people that are usually talking about social selling are usually selling to other salespeople. I personally, you probably didn't expect this to go in this direction, but I don't think social selling works for most people because most people are not hanging out on LinkedIn as much as we are as salespeople. For that reason,
I have a lot of questions for you actually on this subject.
We'll get to it. For that reason, I think that reposting content that your HR department gives you about some award you won or some new feature that your company has, and some people are not going to like this, I don't think it's useful. In the 5 years I've been doing sales, I don't think I've ever booked any meetings from posting about a new feature that our product had. That being said, there are tons of ways to book tons of meetings and be super successful on LinkedIn. But talking about your product on a post or reposting your company posts is probably not the way unless you're selling to other salespeople, which I might disagree with that. Go ahead.
All right. Agree with everything you said. Now, on LinkedIn, there are so many ways we can approach it. There's the selling aspect, there's the prospecting aspect, there's the account mapping aspect, which I separate from prospecting because in my opinion, it's a whole topic unto itself. And there's also the matter of your own personal brand. You know, people open up their LinkedIn and they don't fully understand the value that it has. I mean, Matt, when did you start posting consistently on LinkedIn? Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's been a huge source of growth for you personally even.
So I wanted to get to that. So there's 2 parts of the conversation I want to focus on. I think the prospecting and list building part of LinkedIn, I think that'll be another episode. I really want to talk more about selling.
Episode.
I'm sorry?
The prospecting episode.
The prospecting episode. So we will get to that, but this is more about selling on LinkedIn, not building out your, ICP and building out lists. We'll get to that. But today's episode is going to be one about selling yourself on LinkedIn, what that means, and selling your product and getting more leads, which is the main topic here. But like you said, people underutilize LinkedIn by just trying to create meetings for the companies they work for. Yeah. And this is a huge mistake by SDRs for a bunch of reasons. Number one is
hitting the repost button.
Hitting the repost button, it's just not effective. You end up using all this time building up a network and a voice in, let's say, InsurTech, and not every SDR is going to stay in the same startup for 10, 15 years, like back in the day. So maybe 2 years later, you're now going to be selling to fintechs, and you just but the last 5 years you spent building up yourself as this voice in the insurance space. Well, now that's all to waste because these people aren't going to care about what you talk about now. So I think it is super valuable to not on your LinkedIn homepage and on what you post to the public, post about what you do and how you sell, not what you sell. I started doing this maybe a year or two ago. I started when I had maybe 2,000 followers, and I did this consistently, and it sucked in the beginning, and it still sucks sometimes, but it grew and grew. I actually passed 20,000 followers last week. Thank you. And the amount of opportunities that it gave me personally is way more valuable than a couple meetings I would have booked for my company. That being said, there are tons of ways you can utilize LinkedIn in both ways, but it's important to sort of see that there's the public face of LinkedIn. People that are following me are probably not going to see the content that I put out to the people that I'm reaching out to sell to, and I want to keep it that way. Because when I'm going to move to eventually, if I end up moving to another company in 10, 15, 20 years from now, I'll have built up myself, and I can continue building up that community around what I do no matter what I'm selling.
Because you're still going to be selling.
Because I'm still going to be selling. And in the end of the day, we're not, in a certain sense, we're experts in what we sell, but we're not, I work for a company called Kojo. I'm not a Kojo person. I'm a salesperson. And I'm good at doing what I do because I work on perfecting my craft of sales, not my craft of being the Kojo guy. I want to be the sales guy. I don't want to be just the product guy. So there's a lot to talk about there. But I think the main thing is post about how you sell, post about what you do as a profession, not the thing that you sell. Because me talking about how great my product is, you could tell me if you've had other experiences. Extremely rarely, if ever, has booked me a meeting. I never said, oh, we do this new thing, and I get in the inbox, hey, like, that sounds really cool. Can I send you a contract? Like, it's not happening.
100%. And I'll touch on that, even strengthen on that. When we speak to our prospects, face-to-face, over LinkedIn, wherever it's going to be, we have to remember, we are not the persona we're selling to. We are guests in their space trying to help them. Okay, we're meeting them along the way. I sell to software developers. I do not have a bachelor's in computer science. At a certain point in our conversations, I'm way out of my depth. So if I were to use my LinkedIn to post content and my thoughts on C and C++ development, on CI/CD pipelines, the value and information I would give, I'm out of my depth.
It wouldn't
right out
seem authentic.
It's not authentic.
Right.
Even if, I use ChatGPT or someone from our product team, wrote something which was actually sensible, that's not genuine because it's not really my insights. And even if it would be coming from me, and my prospect would see that, they're going to be, why is this business development professional giving me tips on the way how to develop, on build? It just there's this disconnect there. Whereas our ability to maintain our LinkedIn presence, right, in a strategic manner, okay, I think is much more useful for our time. And the way I approach LinkedIn is like you started off as one of my channels for outbounding. And I want to be able to tie in what I'm doing over phone, over email, and over LinkedIn into one cohesive sequence and plan of attack, if I can use that term. And if we want to touch on, how I go about that, is I'm a big believer in the first step being a triple touch. The first day of my sequence being a triple touch. So the first thing I do is I send an email. About 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, I'll call them. So most of the time, they'll leave a voicemail, call. If they don't pick up, leave the voicemail. If they do pick up, have a conversation. And then if they haven't answered the email or picked up the phone by the time I've finished the phone call, obviously, I send them the LinkedIn connection. And my LinkedIn connection has a message. I'm a big believer in the message in the LinkedIn connection request.
Disagree. Respectfully disagree with you.
All right, we'll get into it. Hi, Matt. I sent over an email and gave you a call. Wanted to put a face to the name. Looking forward to connecting. And the goal of that message is to exactly what I said, is to bring all the channels I'm using together into one cohesive movement. And then when they do accept the connection request, I'm not going to pitch them. I'm simply going to say, hi, Matt. Thanks for connecting. Did you get the email I sent over? I sent it to, and then I'll add into the Matt message their email address that I sent it to. And that actually gets me a lot of replies. Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, I got it. And we'll have the conversation from there. Sometimes they'll say, no, I didn't get your email. That's not my email address. Great. And it's also a great conversation starter. And the fact that I'm not just, sending the connection request with no context to it, and then it's just connecting, I'm immediately starting another conversation on the third platform that's tied in to the other efforts I've been doing.
So I hear what you're saying. I've never tried that exact recipe, but I have over the years tried many different notes in the connection request. And I know many SDR leaders have done the same. And we always find that the blank request will outperform or equally perform putting some sort of message in the first LinkedIn connection request.
How do you measure how they perform? How many people actually accept? That's how you're measuring?
Excellent question. I would rather cast a wider net so I have more opportunities for conversations with people. And that's where we disagree. And that's okay. I could be right and you could be wrong. That's fine.
It could be possible. And it's interesting to explore that. If sometimes I forget to add in the message. Usually I have the message, but I don't have the message, and they've connected. I'll usually send them a message over LinkedIn, similar to that first message I would send. I would say, "Hi Matt, thanks for connecting. I've sent you over an email and given you a call. It's a good thing if we can continue the conversation here if you prefer." And I'll use that message instead in order to start the conversation, right? So okay. I assume if you are connecting over LinkedIn without the message, you are then, having a conversation on LinkedIn and not just leaving them as a connection.
So I eventually go into having conversation. I used to rail people, if you look at my past posts about pitch slapping, because I was a big believer in relationship building and being authentic and connecting with people. I've come to believe, and the results have shown, that there's nothing more authentic than a pitch slap, because it says, this is why I connected with you. And some people appreciate it and some people don't. The ones that don't probably won't reply to you. And that's okay. So we have our disagreement about the connection request. Some people will put in a message, some people won't. I don't think you should. You think we should. Fair. Next, I want to get into the message that would follow, which is going to be different whether you put a connection request or not. I am a huge believer in audio notes and video messaging on LinkedIn. I did a poll about this a couple months back. I think close to 1,000 SDRs responded. And the question was, have you ever sent a video message on LinkedIn? And I did the opposite, where I asked prospects, have they received ever a video message on LinkedIn? And it was less than 5% of prospects have received, and less than 5%. I forget the exact number, but over 1,000 people, and there were, I'm not a math person, but let's say it was 3% of 1,000. What is that? You know what that is? It's not a lot.
30.
Okay, 30, whatever. It was less than 100. That means just by virtue of sending out an audio note or a video message, you stick out amongst a lot of garbage in their inbox. I send out probably 10 videos on LinkedIn a day. I send out maybe 15 audio notes on LinkedIn a day, and it works really well.
What would you say the reply rate is?
Super high. No, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I'd have to look, but
it's at least like one of each a day.
I'm booking by doing this consistently a couple meetings a week for sure. I could look and I could tell you the exact numbers, but I could say the same amount tested against just text messaging. Like where I'm just sending a text in a LinkedIn message, it outperforms it like easy. And the coolest thing is that every once in a while you get a prospect that will respond with an audio note or a video. The first time I tried this was at my first SDR role, where I was trying to get this VP of this huge company, like enterprise 1,000-person company. I sent a video message. They sent me one back, and we literally had it back and forth with video messages until I booked the meeting.
That's awesome.
So I'm a big believer in this. Is it worth sending it on the first message to someone if there's no back and forth? Some people will say not. For me, the audio notes, once you get into the groove, it really doesn't take long. I think it's even quicker than like writing a message.
Yeah.
I literally will, while I'm waiting, I did a post on this also. While I'm waiting for a bus, I could do I could do the whole thing then. If I have 10 minutes to wait for a bus, I could send out 10 video messages. And that's going to be a lot more valuable than me writing out some text message. Because by virtue of you getting on the camera, it's already personalized. You already show who you are.
Yeah.
And that is super intriguing.
It sticks out. It's genuine.
Yep.
It's vulnerable. People appreciate that.
Do you do it?
Not as much as I should.
There you go.
Not as much as I should. And it's not because I have a take against it. Like the opposite. I think it would be fantastic. Just like in my current system of work, you know, I've yet to really put it into play on a consistent basis. I have used it in the past, and I do use it in very, very specific scenarios. So, for example, if I have a prospect which I really want to get, I'll start getting creative. And getting creative for me is sending them a message on WhatsApp, sending them a message on Teams. You'd be surprised how many people just have Teams. If they're using the Microsoft Office suite, they have Teams. And most of the time, you can even message them from your internal organization to an external one, just with their email.
WhatsApp, yay or nay?
Yay.
Yeah? Cold
Yeah.
WhatsApp?
What do you mean cold? Not
Cold. No, cold. These people don't know you're already WhatsApping them? Yes or no?
If I've confirmed the phone and I know that we've spoken.
No. Cold WhatsApp. Yes or no? Come on,
No.
give us the answer. What are you doing?
No.
You want to hear something crazy?
All right, cool.
I started doing it.
How's it going?
Works pretty well.
Yeah.
Sometimes. it's still up
No,
there.
but that's
It's tough
the
to figure
whole
it out, but
thing is that as BDRs, 5% for us is fantastic.
Yeah.
And if something's working consistently 5% of the time, do it. So it just doesn't have to work all the time. It's got to work now some of the time and consistently. So like what you're telling me about the videos, I got to put them to use.
You got to try it out.
I got to put them to use because that's also the thing. Like when I was using videos at the previous company at Datrix, I remember I downloaded a Vidyard like trial account. And you have like 25 free videos, and I wanted to make sure the video was perfect. I wanted to make my video 60 seconds max, 90 seconds. I wanted to, move myself around, like have me big on the screen and small in the corner, simultaneously do a small demo on the platform. And I literally spent 7 hours trying to get one video perfect.
Oh my God.
And it wasn't even like a one video that I was sending to one person specifically. It was one video that I wanted to then add into my sequence to then mass send. All right. And in the end, I did get a video ready and up and running, embedded it into our emails. Didn't really do anything. But what my point of view on this is that I really agree with what you're saying. Is that and then in the future, like a little while after that, I did do one video that was personalized. There was this prospect who was a VP of internal audit at Haynes. All right. So like it was sort of like a known brand. And I had spoken to this person a few times on the phone. Each time I spoke with them, they were running into a meeting.
Yep. We all had those.
We all had those. So like, you know what? I have him on LinkedIn. He's responded once or twice on LinkedIn. I know I can do this. Made a quick video, sent it. Actually was able to get some closure on it. It wasn't qualified. I wasn't using the right ERP. But I did see the value there in the videos. Why am I not practicing what I'm preaching? That's on me. I really should get into the video game. I haven't really.
It's gotten easier. And some people ask me, what technology do I use for the videos?
It sounds like you're using your camera.
In terms of like software. So either I'm filming it directly on LinkedIn, or I'll use SendSpark for a couple of reasons. You're able to track if someone's viewing. And it helps you also scale than just filming each one at a time through LinkedIn, and rendering videos on LinkedIn. It also takes forever. So I would suggest either starting on LinkedIn and then moving to Vidyard to SendSpark once you feel comfortable. One video that worked really well for me, we used to use this platform called Tolstoy. I don't know if if they still have this use case. But have you heard of this company called Tolstoy?
Yeah, they're based in Israel.
Yes, you know that. Okay. So they have this really cool function. Once again, I don't know if this is a product they still sell, where you can personalize the first video, and then it would give the prospect these two buttons where they can click to see, like when you can map out like a series of videos. So the first one's personalized, and you have, do you want to click it? Hey, Jim, I see your blah, 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 blah. Do you want to see a demo? And then they can click like yes or no way. And then it would lead them to the next video depending on their response. The most successful video campaign I've ever had was I did the personalized first touch, and then the ask was, I want to pitch to you. You can look at my normal pitch by clicking this button, or you could look at my fire pitch where I down like a shot glass of like super spicy like habanero Tabasco sauce and see my pitch like after I do that. Not one person clicked on the regular pitch. Everybody wanted to see the fire pitch. Everybody. And I did get some meetings out of it. And I could have faked it. I didn't. I actually took like a glass of this like hot sauce, chugged it, and then did my pitch. And it was painful and it was embarrassing. And something got messed up inside of me, but
Book some meetings.
Booked some meetings, so it was all worth it. Okay, so we're not going to go too far into videos. That will be an episode on its own. But when it comes to LinkedIn, video happens to work really well. Audio notes happen to work really well. We talked about on your personal profile, the things you should talk about, less about your company, more about you. Sell yourself, make yourself valuable. No one works at the same company for 1 billion years. You want to make sure that people know who you are. You want to establish yourself not as remind me where you work again?
Credibility.
Sorry, credibility. You don't want to establish yourself as the incredible guy. You want to establish yourself as the sales guy. That's going to be a lot more valuable to you. Your company doesn't own your LinkedIn. And a lot of companies will pressure you into you thinking that, but you own your LinkedIn and you should sell yourself on LinkedIn. It's more valuable to you. It will do a lot more good for you than just selling a couple meetings. Next, I want to talk about LinkedIn groups. I'm curious if you utilize this at all. I know a lot of SDRs don't. And it could be specific to like certain industries. I'm a big believer in LinkedIn groups. Before I go into my technique, I'm curious, are you active on LinkedIn groups? Are you present there? Do you sell there? Do you try to?
Not as much as I should.
Not as much as you should. Okay.
Again, no, but I will say is that where I do use them, and I will touch on this a little bit, is in prospecting. All right, is that, with like the area of technology, with what we're working in, people are proud. If they're a C++ developer, that's something they're proud about. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people on LinkedIn, like that are on the technical side of things, they'll post about their product, their projects that they're working on. They'll add to their profile and skills their technologies that they're proficient in.
Yeah.
If they are a Linux whiz, they're gonna post about that. If they're a C++, I
thought it was Linux. It's Linux.
Linux.
No, is it Linux?
Linux.
You said Linux. Is that how it's pronounced?
Then you can pronounce it either way.
All right. I was 8 years old when I learned that. All right, go ahead.
And it has a bunch of flavors to it. But people will be proud of that, and they'll post about it, and they'll have that as their skills. And if someone puts something on Linux, puts something on LinkedIn, got me talking about Linux now.
Linux.
If someone puts something on LinkedIn, it's something that they're proud about. And if they join a group, usually it's something that something really interests them.
Yep.
All right. So when you're prospecting, you're looking for people, you can leverage that information. And then once you've leveraged that information to find them, you can then leverage that information when you're reaching out to them. And I think that one of the best things you can do to personalize and scale out your personalization is just simply by using the word noticed, saw. Because it's something that's specific. It's something that actually is true. And it's true because this is something that you did.
Shows you did your homework too.
You joined this group on LinkedIn. You added to your list of skills C++. You wrote in your bio that you are leading a team that works in embedded software development. And by leveraging that information that you've put on LinkedIn, I have a much easier time analyzing, showing that I've done my research and can make my pitch more relevant.
And
people will both appreciate that, and the numbers back it up. I have a hard time finding a guru these days who just really pushes spray and pray and just generalization and no personalization. Everything is about personalized. It's personalized,
especially with AI. It upped the game.
So leveraging that information, finding the groups that you should be following, because if you do find the group and you join that group, you can now know who else is in the group. So if you're joining a new role, your LinkedIn is your company's, but it's worth it for the time you're at that company to join the relevant groups in that industry. Also to follow the influencers there. If you're in sales, you're following Josh Braun. If you're in software developer, you're following
Aaron Kaplan.
No. Please, by all means. You're following a fellow named Bjorn, who I believe created C++. I think that's his name. Hope I don't get in trouble.
Is it not Bjorn? Is that not a...
Bjorn.
No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, you join the groups that are relevant. Follow those influencers that are relevant.
And people that interact with their posts, that's a good lead.
That's a good
That's
lead.
a great opener for conversation or an email.
Yep.
Or people that comment on your competitors. That's a good conversation starter.
Better yet, even if someone hasn't accepted your connection request, if you're seeing them on LinkedIn, you can like their post and that pops up. Like, for example, if someone 2 weeks ago was hiring for a C++ developer, I see that, haven't even connected with me. I go and I like that post, and then I message them. They've probably already gotten 2 notifications about me already. And that, piques a little more intrigue than you not doing it. Worth a try. Give a like.
I want to share one quick secret that I probably shouldn't be saying, but for the followers of this podcast, they should know. I'm assuming that no one from LinkedIn is listening to the conversation.
Oh.
I want to share one secret, and I want to share one tip. And then we're going to go to a little game to finish off the topic here, because I know it's getting late. The tip is when it comes to LinkedIn groups, any group I've been a part of, if you scroll, it's generally salespeople pitching to the prospects in the group, and they very rarely get any interaction. So people will try it out. New SDRs will get really excited about groups. They'll join a group for developers, and they'll see that it's just other salespeople that are talking in there, even though most of the members of the group are actually developers. Polls do really well in groups. And the great function of LinkedIn is that you could only see the result of a poll, I believe, unless it's changed, is if you vote on the poll. So a great way to gather warm leads is to come up with relevant polls that somehow relate to the value prop of your topic. Ask it in a group. I'm part of a group called Technical Support Managers, and it's relatively small. It's like maybe 15, 20,000, and there are groups with like hundreds of thousands of people. I'll do a post about, do you believe, this one did really well, do you believe AI should replace or enable support agents? I got about 300 responses, and no other posts in this group are getting any responses, but polls people love. I've booked like 4 or 5 meetings like that week by reaching out to people that voted on the poll because we deal with AI for support. So polls in groups, nobody is doing this. Nobody's doing this. You should start. The problem is if everyone starts doing it, then it's going to be a problem. Yeah. Only if you're a listener and follower of the podcast, you can do this.
I think I'm gonna try this out tomorrow.
Try it out, just not on the Technical Support Managers group. Okay, so we're going to finish off with a quick game. I want to both of us to open up our phones and look at the last pitch or sales message you got, so we can roast or rank them. I then want you to tell me the last message that you sent that actually prompted a response or actually booked a meeting. So I'm going to open up my LinkedIn here, and you're not going to have to scroll too far to get to a pitch. I'm going to go into my messages.
Start looking also. I'm looking for...
Okay, I'll share, I guess, a win that I had. Was trying to connect with a specific prospect. I'm not going to use any names. And like we discussed, I opened up with a video. And then under the video had a little caption. I saw that this person back in the day worked at a ski mountain that I actually had went to as a kid. So I pointed out the name of the mountain is Big White.
So it's like, I'm sorry, I was looking at my own LinkedIn. Give me some more context here.
Okay, reaching out to this lady, I sent her a video. I saw on her LinkedIn that in the past she had worked as like a ski instructor or something at like some like mountain like ski resort that I had been to in the past. So I sent the video, and then I wrote in parentheses, Big White connection and context for reaching out. And then the person responded saying, hey, sorry I didn't get back to this earlier, definitely interested to chat. That led to a meeting. Video plus finding something like sort of unique and kitschy.
That's fun.
In their LinkedIn was what got them going. Here, now I found, okay, and then just quickly, the pitch that I received, and I'm going to blur out the name of the company, not to embarrass anyone. Hey, Matt, I love your energy and work. I'm part of the growth team at Blah. With Blah, you can bid farewell to time-consuming research, manual note-taking, and post-call wrap-ups. I'd love to explore a potential partnership with you. You could tell that this is some mass campaign. I love your energy and work. I mean, that could Maybe that was a little personalized because not most people aren't as active on LinkedIn as me, but that didn't really do it for me. I mean, this could literally be speaking to anybody.
What was the pitch again?
The pitch was, I'm part of the growth team at X. With X, you can bid farewell to time-consuming research, manual note-taking, and post-call wrap-ups. So first of all, there's tons of technology that do a lot of these things. It's not differentiating.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough in here that made me feel like it's speaking to me. There wasn't enough in here that made me feel like this is really touching to my
They were
experience.
feature slapping.
Yeah.
Mention the features.
And then I love this. I'd love to explore a potential partnership with you. You don't want a partnership. You want to sell me something. Come on. Like, I'm a sales guy. Partnership.
Exactly.
I want to build a relationship with you. Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead.
So I'm going to touch on first the one that worked for me. And I'm going to, in case y'all haven't realized yet, I'm not a huge LinkedIn person.
But you will be after this episode.
I will definitely be. You're the
Guru, the expert.
Guru, the expert.
The captain.
Thank you.
El Capitan.
So I'm looking right now for that one that really went well. I'm going to find it. But I can only mostly just tell the story.
Go
so
ahead.
Essentially, found him. All right. So essentially, I was been speaking. Okay, I was reaching out to Deutsche Bank, which are a client of ours, and we were trying to expand the organization. So we're reaching out to all these people, and we did something. We changed things up a little bit. We started also going bottom of the line. For those of y'all who are familiar with the term, is usually we're reaching out to decision makers. We want to reach out to the people who are the most relevant, who have a budget that they can allocate, are aware of all of the problems, can move a deal forward. But we were changing things up and went, below that to the people who are actually, experiencing the issues, are actually, on the floor. And I reached out to a C++ developer, sent out my usual opening message. Hi, Loney. I sent you an email, so I just wanted to put a face to the name. Looking forward to connecting with you. They responded with the very, very nice person. Hi, Aaron. It's a pleasure to meet you. I haven't received any email. Maybe it's lost somewhere in the middle. And this is what I usually send over. As I said, I sent it to put in their email address. Is that your email? Yeah, indeed. We usually don't get emails from outside the organization. And then he mentioned that he's not the decision maker, which I was aware of, but he did something that was fantastic. He said, you should contact X, Y, and Z, who is the decision maker. So that for me, that's gold.
That referral, yeah.
He's the manager of my manager, and he will be empowered to make these decisions. So the fact that this person pointed me into that direction, for me is a huge win. Huge win, because both I know now that who's the right person I need to speak to, right? And this was someone who's not in our lists, all right? And I have a point of reference. I can say to this person, to X, Y, and Z, I can say to them, hey, Clooney, John Smith referred me to you. And then it's, oh, yeah, I know John Smith. Yeah. It already elevates the conversation. It's much more familiar. And I called that person immediately after I got the message. He knew the person I was referring to. And he said, yeah, let's speak tomorrow. We spoke the next day, and that literally saved my Q1.
There you go.
It saved my Q1. And I'll start from a little LinkedIn.
Aaron, as we close off this episode of the podcast.
I got to shout out the pitch I got.
Oh, please go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to read out the message itself because there was a back and forth. But essentially, the thing that, got to me was two things. One is that it was referenced, it's very, very vague. And even when I did agree to continue the conversation, they wouldn't actually tell me what they're pitching me. They didn't tell me.
They were afraid of telling you that they're a salesperson.
No, I'm aware that they're a salesperson. But I said, okay, before we actually have a call.
What's it about?
And even then, the answer is very, very vague. So I say, maybe just give me some questions. Give me some of your questions so that I can answer them before we actually have a meeting. And didn't really want to send over, which was odd to me. But for me, I think that, this also teaches me a lot about when I approach my prospects, is that our time is very, very valuable. And their time is very, very valuable. So sometimes, what could be done in an email should be done in an email. And we shouldn't necessarily have to push for the meeting. We shouldn't necessarily have to push for more than that. So when we're reaching out to people on LinkedIn, be courteous, you know, be smart, be concise, and maybe it's a little contradiction, but I don't think so. Have fun with it.
Yeah, that's the number one rule in business. Have fun, for sure. So I was going to ask what your takeaway is from this episode, and it sounds like you sort of wrapped it up now. If you were to tell people in 7 seconds, LinkedIn, most important thing, go.
Listen to Matt Firestone.
Beyond, I mean, that's on. Next thing, what would you say?
Don't be afraid of it.
Don't be afraid of it.
Use it. Try it out. Go for it. Send out a video. Send out an audio message. I need to do it myself. I'm going to take it.
And let us know on the next episode how it goes.
Definitely.
And my one takeaway is you own your LinkedIn. Your company doesn't own your LinkedIn. Talk about what you do, not what you sell. You will see way more value than just booking a couple meetings. Do it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. See y'all next episode.